Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, May the 11th, 2023. And no, don't adjust your screen. The wise guys are back on Thursday, although it's only for a week. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez, and let's bring in my co-host, Mr. JC Blue Note, Jim Crenity, and James. There's a disturbance in the force this evening, and I think that's an apt line to bring in our special guest for the night. How about you?
I would completely agree. How are we doing, Michael, even though I don't watch the movies?
Well, we're doing fine. A little sleepy tonight, but the kid went down really quick. So, and I have caffeine. We're good.
Famous last words.
Yeah. So since there's a disturbance in the force, that can only mean one thing, James. And that is the oldest known member of the Wise Guy, we'll call it club.
High School Reunion Part 3.
Basically, ladies and gentlemen, it is the Sporting Sith himself, Mr. John Rice. And John,
I am gleeful, my friend.
I see this.
This is actually the first time John has joined us on the Wise Guys. The last time was on your channel.
That's right. It was what's funny? I watched that episode last night. I was playing the Xbox. And just like I told you guys that night that I go on there and I listen to that while I play the games, I was like, oh, the boys are back together. Let's watch the playoff preview. And, it's kind of funny that the three of us get together and it's always about college football, though, gentlemen. But we do have a couple other things to get to tonight. We're going to run down. We do have some sad news to talk about in the world of Cleveland sports. We have the NFL schedule has been released, with one of Jim's teams taking on a guy at a new home on the first Monday night game of the year. And we will get into some upcoming Wise Guy stuff, and we will get into the main reason that we are here, and that is the first schedule for the first ever 12-team college football playoff that begins in December of 2024. So as John said it when we were waiting to get on, we are about 18 months away from a playoff that will actually determine a champion, not one picked by committee. So, John, what's new in the Sporting Sith world outside of the Fortnite streaming we've been doing?
Well, obviously, you brought me onto this show for this specific reason. The 12-team playoff. Our prayers have been answered. I mean, I could say our prayers, but I know that my prayers have definitely been answered. Finally, I've been pledging for this for years. I mean, I'm not talking the last couple of years. When they first started the BCS, I was pushing for a 12-team playoff. Finally, we get this 12. Everybody has a playoff. Everybody has high school has a playoff. Division 3 has a playoff. Division 2 has a playoff. Division 1 FCS has a playoff. Why did it take so long for us to get the best sport? Yeah, and they're going to make more in the playoff. They're going to make more with a playoff.
And John, think about this, is that college football has had the playoff, at least in the 4-team capacity recently, but all of their big money makers, March Madness, the Frozen Four, the 1AA tournaments, Division 2 tournaments, college football is the only program really outside of meets like gymnastics or swimming that did not decide in some form of a playoff.
Yes. And now we're finally going to get it.
And look, I got a feeling it's going to cause a lot of big change in college football too, especially with the way they're going to do the first round. So, Jim, if you could pop up that schedule, let's dive into this now and let's spend a good chunk of time on it. So what Jim's going to bring up is something I sent to John and Jim when we decided to set this episode up, and that is the playoff schedule for the 2024-2025 postseason. So my favorite part of this, John, and I want to go to you first, and Jim, if you hop on afterwards. My favorite part's the first round where it says it's played on campus.
That looks better.
Yes, I finally. I mean, I was put there's a couple little tweaks that they have that in this playoff system that are a little different than what I had set up in my and you can check out my videos on it and I talk about it at length. And I don't mind the tweaks that they have. I don't mind them at all because I love how they're incorporating the big bowls. I love how they're giving the first round at least the chance to play at home. Again, you look at all the playoff systems; they all play home games until the championship game. So I'm loving the fact that they're going to have at home for the first round and then incorporate the biggest bowls for the second and third rounds, and then obviously the championship.
Jim, let me ask you this, and here's where the big change thing I think may happen with college football. We discussed it. If this year's playoff, when we did that episode, if this year's playoff would have been set to this setup, we would have had or could have had an Ohio State-Alabama game in Columbus in December. Is that something that would intrigue you, that a team from down where I live now would have to go up north to a higher seeded team? Is that something you're looking forward to seeing?
It would definitely be intriguing that, first of all, as you've harped on in the 18 months we've been doing this show, a team from down south going above Mason-Dixon when the weather changes over, but also a team from north of Mason-Dixon heading down south for something that's not a or essentially an early season out of conference game at a neutral site like Jerry's place,
which is going to be huge. So, John, here is where I think the change in college football is going to come, because shortly after this starts, I don't know if anybody remembers, but Alabama will play its first non-conference above Mason-Dixon in 2027. They go to the shoe in September. So here's my question. Does this playoff start to open the door for more marquee matchups in the non-conference?
It does, but I don't think it's going to change the outcomes much. As far as you have an Ohio State Alabama team playing in August, and so the loser of that game is not going to be affected in the long run nearly as much as it would when the BCS was around with the 4 team. And then you look back and go, oh, Ohio State lost at home to Alabama. It's like in the first game of the season, it's like, so then you're going to have the BCS committee saying, oh, well, that's a quality win for Alabama, and that's a bad loss for Ohio State. With that being said, with this 12-team playoff, you lose that first game, whether it be Alabama or Ohio State, then you run the table and say you lose in the conference championship. So you have you're a 2-loss team. You played in your conference championship, and you have a loss to one of the top teams in the country, and you have a loss in your conference championship. You're probably going to see one of those at-large bids. So, I'm all for that, because I think that's where the bigger change that I think is going to happen is the bigger change is going to be at the back end. You're not going to have a team like Georgia lay an egg in the SEC championship game because they know they're making the BCS. Now you have a potential bye for the first round linked to that to that conference championship. So now you're not going to have teams laying an egg to say, oh, I'm going to rest some guys. We're going to kind of take it easy. If we lose, we're still in. You're not going to have that because it's going to be win, get the bye week, and let's move forward.
Jim, does this change guys sitting out?
I would certainly think so. It's because you're not going to have and I'm sorry, I'm not actually doing this to spite you specifically, Mike. But you're not going to see, scenarios of like Bosa brothers sitting out bowl games or things of that nature. Here's the other thing that I would like to see in the natural progression. And John, let me see if you might be on my wavelength here with this. Does the natural progression seem to be is that we had the national championship game with the BCS finally come together almost 20 years ago. Then eventually came the playoff. Now we expand out. Can we finally start having the conversation of doing away with the poll system until the BCS poll comes out, so we don't have teams slotted early based off of perception as opposed to actual on-field product?
I don't know if you can do away with the polls entirely.
I'm not saying entirely, but I'm saying at least until maybe
what is that, like week 8-ish?
Once the
like
BCS rankings come out, that's when your first set of rankings come out as well, because you had who was it this year that was ranked? It was Texas A&M was at 6th, 2 losses, dropped all the way out, and then still found their way back into the top 20 by the time the Bulls came around.
Well, look at Notre Dame.
Right.
I think that you still have to have those polls, especially for, and I kind of hate saying this because I kind of wish they would just do away with this part of the process. Is you kind of got to have some way to incorporate the independents. As much as it pains me to say that,
but there's only 6 of them, and Notre Dame's the only one that you take seriously.
I 100% agree with you. That's why it pains me to say it. But since they don't have any conference to align up with to give any of that, like that conference feedback, I think those early polls for the independents at least gives them, a bone to pick for a minute. But yes, I think those should be also taken with a grain of salt, because I don't believe they should put as much weight as they do into the AP poll or the coaches poll. I think a lot of people look at those polls, and I think you have committee members. I'm not going to lie. You have committee members who are politicians, right? And how many games are they going to seriously be sitting down and watching on a Saturday afternoon? Like, you're telling me they're going to sit there from noon on Eastern Standard Time until 2:00 in the morning Western time and watch these games and not produce for their constituents? So to me, that's a little bit like they're producing anyways.
I was going to say, John, that's probably what they're doing to begin with.
But still, but what I'm saying is, so I have a feeling that a lot of those people kind of take a look at the AP poll, kind of take a look at that coaches poll, and without even seeing a team play, they're like, oh, well, these guys have Texas A&M ranked high. I'm gonna put them high.
See, and that's the thing that the committee has always said, oh, we watch the games. Hell no, you don't.
No, they don't.
You can't watch the games if you're putting 2 SEC teams in the top 4 when they're playing the Little Sisters of the Poor and the Citadel the week before rivalry week.
Yep.
When every other conference in the country has a conference game that week.
Yeah.
What was the other thing I was going to ask? I was going to make a joke that the first time Bama had to go above Mason-Dixon in December, Saban was going to retire. But I don't know if that's really I don't know. I don't know if I want that to happen or if I think it's going to happen.
But
so, yeah, I would say, John, go ahead.
But I also was going to say that according to the playoff system that they are incorporating in 24, Alabama and Ohio State would both have home games. They would not they would not actually play each other.
Oh, that's right. They would have been the 5-6. That's right.
Yes. So they wouldn't meet until probably the semifinals or something like that, I think.
If they both got through, yeah.
If they both get that far.
I tell you what, though. I think the great thing about this is that you're going to see big games come to campus that aren't manufactured by a preseason poll, by a different poll, by, just being a rivalry game. So I love that part of it. So, Jim, let me ask you this. So, as I said before we started, I watched our episode that we did to preview the CFP in December. And my question to you, sir, is this. Do you think this is going to lessen the rivalry games?
Some of the more meaningful games, Bedlam, Red River shootouts, Florida State, the game. No, because those are going to be there. But some of your maybe middle of the road games, Iron Bowl is going to be weakened a little bit just because Auburn's not what they were and Alabama's still a world beater. Georgia really doesn't have one because their one historically was against Georgia Tech, who stunk for the last decade. It could potentially water things down a little bit, maybe take away from some of those rivalry games, but you're still going to have the marquee ones mean just as much, where they're going to be almost like qualifiers or wild card games.
Because last year, both at 10-0 or 11-0, whatever they were going into the game Michigan Ohio State. They were both getting in. The winner of that game was going to play for the Big Ten championship and a shot at the top 4. The other one was getting in. Georgia Tech. I don't believe Georgia Tech's got a prayer. Although, Jim, if the one that we've been discussing in length happens to go your way, I think that could springboard that Florida team. Not that I think it's going to happen this year, but in years down the road, that could springboard that team.
Very true. Very true. But until both of those programs are how they were 15 years ago, that rivalry is not going to match what it was back in the 90s.
No, probably not.
I think it's going to water down the non-conference rivalry games. I don't think it's going to water down Alabama-Auburn. I don't think it's going to water down Michigan-Ohio State. I don't think it's going to water down USC-UCLA.
You're talking like a Notre Dame USC or a Notre Dame Boston College type.
Yes, or a Georgia Tech or a Georgia Tech. I don't think I don't think the quality of the football is necessarily going to do it. I think the non-conference rivalry game will get watered down a little bit just because there won't be as much on the line. I mean, look at Georgia Tech. If Georgia goes into Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech somehow pulls it off, that doesn't hurt Georgia as far as winning the SEC championship.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Because there's how many non-conference rivalries are there really? I mean, obviously any rivalry Notre Dame has is a non-conference because they're an independent. But are there really any big rivalry games?
Florida State.
Florida State. Okay. So really it's
Clemson,
that one.
Clemson, South Carolina.
I said big, John.
Clemson, South Carolina is a big one. In your area, you better get used to that. You better not be saying stuff like that in your area now.
Bro, I'm in South Georgia. There's a big Ohio State contingent down here.
But yeah,
no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, John's right about that because now you've actually got with the conference transfers, the Red River Shootout is now in the SEC. Yep. You still got Florida State, which is an out of conference game at the end of the year. You're going to have that new budding Ohio State USC rivalry every couple of years.
Which will be fun.
Right. So, I mean, people harp on the super conferences, but it's going to open up a whole new realm of rivalries that we never used to get unless they were in bowl games once every 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
If we're lucky.
Yeah, if we're lucky. It depends on if these teams stay as competitive as they are now. If Lane Kiffin gets USC back to what they were once they join the Big Ten, I mean, you're talking they'll be Big Ten West. They're going to have to play Wisconsin. They're going to have to play Iowa. They're going to have to play Northwestern. When they'll schedule non-conference games where they'll bring Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan State across the country. And that's going to be great. Do I think a lot of those teams are going to be in the playoff? Maybe not in it, but definitely have a say in it now.
Mm-hmm. Think about this as well. Those games on campus in the first round. Think of a scenario where you've got maybe a USC hosting that game. And, oh, look, here comes Michigan or Ohio State, and it's the Rose Bowl all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but do you think they would play that at the Rose Bowl, though? Or no, because USC plays at the Coliseum. UCLA plays at the Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah,
but still, just the idea that you basically get a classic Rose Bowl type lineup the week before the Rose Bowl.
That's crazy. I like that there's a bye in between or an off week in between conference championships and the first round.
Which is how it should have been all those years ago.
Yes.
Agreed. And then what we got 11 days between round one and quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
You got 10, 11 days between the semifinals and the quarters, and then holy cow, that's a day before my birthday.
That's also conference championship game weekend. So that would be the Monday after the AFC and NFC championship games.
They're talking that it's going to be, that week is going to be so football dominant. It's not even funny.
Right, because immediately after that, although the only thing that I'm concerned about for if you're a college football fan is everyone's talking about the AFC and NFC championship games. Does this game get watered down because everyone's now starting to think Super Bowl?
This won't get watered down because it's the first one. The first year won't get watered down. Same thing with the first 14 playoff. It was massive because it was the first year. The 2025 one will be huge. It will do huge numbers. It will do huge revenue. And
I don't think it'll get watered down because like how you said, it brings up the whole Super Bowl talk after the conference championships are played. I think it's a great segue into catapulting them into Super Bowl week, because you have the conference championships, and that boom, Monday night you have the college football championship. That's going to catapult everything. Now it's like, okay, now we just had the conference championship games. Now we're having the college football championship. Now on Tuesday, let's ramp up for the Super Bowl.
You know, I didn't even think of that because here's the other part of just me shooting a hole in my own argument is that you have this and then then you can talk about this for 2 or 3 days to fill the lull of that blank open week between the conference championship games and actual Super Bowl week.
Yep. Instead of giving 2 weeks of just mundane stuff.
Right.
Leading into Super Bowl week. But yeah.
Well, the South's going to love that because the Super Bowl's in New Orleans that year and the national championship's in Atlanta.
That'll be a rocking couple weeks.
If you got it, flaunt it while they're talking about a $1 billion renovation to keep the stadium up here open and outdoors rather than $3 billion to build a new one enclosed.
The house that Haslam built.
Yep.
I still love my joke from last week and
about the cellar. Oh my God.
Yeah, John, we actually need we need a wine manufacturer or a vineyard to pony up some money to be able to get the naming rights to the stadium. So this way they can be playing in the cellar because they've been there for the last 20 years.
a little double action on that word. Nice.
We've got Romo Fijo. We've got, Progressive Field, formerly the Jake, so now
it'll always be the Jake.
It'll always be the Jake.
So we've got the Jake, we've got the Q, now Romo Fijo, now and so now we need because Factory of Sadness doesn't just roll off the tongue as
Factory of Sadness.
Yes. Although I am glad they did go back to the Cleveland Browns Stadium. I am glad that they went back because I always called it Cleveland Browns Stadium. This is the first time I think I've ever really said First Energy Stadium. So that was just rough, but
I was going to say the other thing I was watching was Jim and I and our buddy Alex did draft night reaction. Which, oh, by the way, Jim, get the sound effect for the Wisey translator because we're doing that later.
Oh,
so we were talking about, and I flipped back to a couple years ago when Fields got drafted by Chicago. And I remember telling Alex, that's when it was in Cleveland. And I'm telling him, yeah, you get off the train and, the Rock Hall's here, Science Center's here, and Brown Stadium's right here. It had been First Energy for a long time at that point in time. It was still Brown Stadium to me. So, John, if you're handicapping this over the next couple years, now let's play a little more long game. And I'm going to ask the question. I think you're going to tell me I'm going too quick. How long before they pump this to 16?
I don't think they will.
You think 12 is going to be the cap?
I think 12 will be the cap. I think having the first round being played at home, giving the top 4 teams a bye week, I think where they're at right now is perfect. I think 16 might oversaturate a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't think 8 was quite enough, and I thought 16 was too much. That's why I've always thought that 12 was perfect. And I'm not going to say that you're rushing that. I can totally see valid arguments for moving to 16. I think once they see the success that they have moving to 12 from 4 instead of going from 4 to 8, just making that jump right to 12. I think the sky is the limit for 12, and I don't think they're going to change to 16. I don't believe there's a reason to. I think the way they have it set up, the way they have the seeding process set up, the way they have the conference champions, the at-larges set up, it's almost too perfect. It's almost too perfect right now.
Yeah, I think this was the best scenario, and they took a lot more of your ideas than I think you thought they would. Sorry, I was telling my daughter to go watch. She sent me a snap. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm doing a show. It's Thursday. What do you mean? What am I doing?" Go watch the stream. Jim, pop this down so we can see our handsome faces, our old handsome faces. So if they don't go to 16-12, I think you're right. I think this is perfect. Keep it here. You're not going to hear a ton of argument out of people. I also think this does the good thing and lessens the role of the committee in all this, because there are 6 teams that they automatically have to have in there. It was the 5 power conference champions, best team from the group of 5. They're guaranteed to be in. So really their job is to seed and pick the at-larges. And there are some years the at-larges take care of themselves.
And that was one of the tweaks that I saw where it's different than how I had it. I would have it as the Power 5 conferences would be ranked 1 to 5. The Power 5 champions would be ranked 1 to 5. Mm-hmm. And then the highest ranked group of 5 would be 6, would be slotted right into that 6th spot. Mm-hmm. I don't like the they're ranked 19, but we're just going to give them the 12th spot. No, it's like they won their conference. They did what they had to do. They're still not making a bye week because they're not going to be in the top 4.
Yeah.
So they're already handicapped as it is because they're not going to get into that top 4 slot. But give them that 6th spot. Give them the home game for the first round.
Especially if
you're rewarding a conference champion. So you're telling me that a conference champion, like what was it, Tulane would have had to play at Ohio State. I mean, that doesn't seem right.
I've seen that game.
But what I'm saying is, like, to me, that doesn't. It's like they won their conference, and you're sending them somewhere to a team that didn't win theirs, and got an at-large bid.
You know what, John? I'm glad that you brought that up. You know what it makes? You know what it feels like? Like the consideration that they're talking with expanding the NCAA basketball tournament to 96. So this way they've got where the top 8 would all get buys, and then you'd actually have teams playing to be able to slot into the field of 64. It would basically be like what we saw, like UCLA loses the Pac-12 tournament, yet gets a higher seed than Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah. Especially
neither does taking that tournament to 96.
That's a lot. But
that's everybody.
That's almost, yeah. There's 200.
By doing that, I think they would eliminate like the NIT, the CBI, something like that.
I think that would cause problems. The NIT is New York basketball staple.
Yeah, but you could probably put some of those. You could probably put some of those games that
only the population in New York watches it.
Right, but I mean, you'd also be able to put some of those think about it, is that would actually open up to where you don't have 8 sites hosting the opening weekend. You got 12 or 16 of them, and you throw New York City in there every year.
And one of them's the Garden, which wow.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really been into that discussion too much. Just to fly off the cuff here, I don't know if I would be satisfied with that, because I think that would really water down the 500 squads. You would have a lot of teams at 11-13, 13-14, making it in, that probably wouldn't have a chance regardless. You would have a team get to 12 or 13 wins and then be like, all right, we're good. We can make it in the tournament now. And it's like, whoa, slow your roll. It's like, because yeah, it's like you're like, it's like, that's great. You might win a game, you might pick off somebody, but like you're probably not going. There's just something about those smaller schools that have a lot more heart and a lot more riding on that field of 64 than if you were to say have an Illinois at 11-14 making it in as a 37 seed.
As a 37 seed. Could you imagine the amount of paper you would have to have for a bracket now?
Those old dot matrix printers.
It wouldn't actually be printed on an 8.5 by 11. It would be literally a piece of poster board.
A poster board. Yeah.
You know what it would look like? The basketball playoffs.
Yes.
Do you know what I just saw in my head? The meme of the guy who's like got all the different strings and the pictures on the bulletin board. That's how you'd have to pick your NCAA champion. Yes.
Charlie Day.
Yes.
Yep. That is the first thing I saw in my head.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. And that would make, I think, the Wise Guys NCAA tournament show even more chaotic than it could be.
Wow.
Which, again, with us.
But now you're talking.
Good, sometimes maybe shit.
That's one.
I do have good timing with that, James.
But now to piggyback on all that tournament popularity, now you're going to have NCAA football tournament brackets. I just blew both your minds right there.
Wait,
boom.
So far, John's ideas.
I'm cutting off. I'm out.
Let's talk about John Rice's ideas for the Wise Guys. John, we did the Wisies in March. And we gave away the best and worst jersey to the one from the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, jeez.
We did worst offseason acquisition was Deshaun Watson. And when we flipped to the winner, he did the one with Bill Cosby on his head. I mean, it was just...
Oh, my goodness.
Jim, we're doing a NCAA tournament bracket for the first playoff. We're going to do our picks live on the air in pen. And we'll do like Mike and Mike used to do the old sheet of integrity.
Oh,
wow.
Man.
Yeah. John is now giving us 2 gold ideas for episodes.
He gave us the last time he was when it was the 3 of us, we went off the air and he gave us absolute gold. That
was the Wisies.
That's okay. That's what, yeah.
Because I said we should do it when we start the year. And then I got, we ended up relocating, so we had to push it to March. But the first episode I did in Georgia was the Wisies. Dude, we were actually dressed in decently nice clothes. Jim wore a jacket.
Wow.
I had on a button-down shirt with a sweater vest. First of all, do you know how hot it is in Southern Georgia? To wear a button up and a sweater vest.
Nice.
And
I might actually have to shave.
Goes without saying.
It was better than the original idea of Mike having me look around eBay for
green tuxedo t-shirts.
Oh my god! I actually have a green St. Patrick's Day tuxedo t-shirt.
We did it on St. Patrick's Day. That's what we were looking for.
Oh my gosh, I have one. I actually have one. It's like an Irish
John on there.
Irish jacket with a green tie, and it has shamrocks all over it. Oh yeah, it's legit.
The only green thing on that show, besides the lighting that Jim used in his house, was the green apple cider hard cider that I was drinking.
Oh my god! And I'm not even Irish. I even have an Irish St. Patrick's Day Hawaiian shirt.
This idiot with the green light now.
I know.
See, I am half Irish, and I wore green to work that day, but
the good half, right?
My old man hears you say that. He still lives by you. Oh, so
Which
He'll
I
cuss me
thought
out.
I
He'll
was.
cuss me out in some foreign language that I won't understand.
I
it'll
thought
be Spanish.
I was
John.
Irish. I thought I was Irish. My aunt just took one of those ancestry DNA things. Turns out I'm about 2% Irish, and I am like 1.3% related to Halle Berry.
Well, she did grow up in Northeast Ohio.
It's
Yeah.
Shaker Heights.
I thought it was Bedford. I could it could be Shaker. I thought it was Bedford Heights, but I could be mistaken.
Shaker,
Wikipedia, here we
Bedford.
come.
What'd you say?
Wikipedia, here we come.
Fuck that.
Not that invested.
I don't care. Although I was talking about her at work today because we were talking about the Bond movie with her.
I just like swordfish.
You get Hugh Jackman.
What was
and
her
Travolta?
first major motion picture role? Mike, you should know this. It's my favorite football movie. The Program.
Well, she was in the program.
She was in the program, that's right.
She was the girlfriend in the program.
See, if I'm thinking 90s college athletic movie, I'm thinking Blue Chips.
Oh boy,
What? No Necessary Roughness?
Sham God, was that or who was
Shit.
that? What was that from?
Sham God?
Yeah, Sham God or whatever it was.
He was a point guard for Providence back about 15 years ago.
Who was the? What was the? There was.
You're thinking of Jesus Shuttlesworth in
Jesus Shuttlesworth. That's what it is. God, Sham God, Jesus Shuttlesworth. What's the difference? They're both religious.
I fucking love this kid.
punt.
And punt. Dude, when did we start the Wisey channel? Was that our 1 year episode? That's when we punted on this thing,
Yeah.
Jim. We punted on this thing around John's birthday.
Punted on third down.
We punted on first down with this son of a bitch.
Hey, you leave Canadian football alone.
Speaking of football, I want to give a shout out to our inspiration in our wisiness to Mr. Pat McAfee on the birth of his first child, little Mackenzie. I had a little girl the other day, just after his birthday, which I thought was pretty cool. So big up to him.
He's also
Jim,
got something else to celebrate.
what else? Yeah, I saw something else is coming down. What's going on with
He's
that?
not being sued by Brett Favre anymore.
Oh, they granted the motion to dismiss?
Or something. It was on ESPN earlier.
That's fucking great.
And speaking of that, ladies and gentlemen, from behind the curtain, here we have Pat McAfee.
I wish. Dude, he's the type of dude that I would honestly pay good money to not only watch do stand up because he's hilarious, but if I ever made it doing this, that's the first kind of show I'd want to be on.
Agreed.
You got to watch his draft night stuff, John. When the dude does Mad Mel Kiper,
Oh, geez.
not only does Mad Mel Kiper, he does a foul mouth version of Jay Glazer.
You mean there's a not Mad Mel Kiper?
No, he like does his hair and everything just like him and talks like him.
I'll have to look that up.
Oh my God. I sent it to Jim. I will send it to you.
All right.
And the guy's a Packer fan to the point where he's got one of the ownership things that the fans buy in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And when they drafted Jordan Love, he literally got up and fucking left.
Wow.
So speaking of the Green Bay Packers, James, did you happen to see who your Buffalo Bills opened the season against?
I did not.
Monday Night Football against Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets.
Bum, 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 bum.
I'm telling you, he's going to play 1 year in New York and then go to Minnesota. He wants to be fucking Favre anyway.
Did you see the meme that came out on Facebook the other day that he already requested that the Jets change their colors, and it was basically their uniforms in Packer colors?
Oh,
I did see that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we were sitting here on draft night, and I looked at Alex and Jim, and I said, if the Packers go wide receiver with their pick, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm on McAfee show the next day telling Gutekunst to go fuck himself. And they still went defense.
Detroit, Kansas City to open the season should be a hell of a game.
Christmas Day, it's Philly and the Giants.
They have a triple. Isn't there a Christmas? Yeah, Philly and the Giants at Philadelphia.
There's also a first ever Black Friday game this year.
Yes, and I think a Christmas triple header. I think. I thought
Yeah, because one of the other games is Baltimore and
they have 5 international games this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's in London back-to-back weeks.
Yep.
They're going to move them there.
Well, they're talking about it because they're talking about redoing their stadium or something like that, and they're saying that they might have to relocate for 2 years.
I was just looking at this before.
That Christmas week schedule is all over the place. You got a Thursday game, 2 Saturday games, your normal Sunday slate. Oh, Browns are in Houston on Christmas Eve, and then you got Vegas, Kansas City, Giants, Philly, Baltimore, San Francisco triple header on Christmas Day.
You think he's going to ask for a massage for Christmas?
Hey, I don't care. All I know is that I'll be home for Christmas. That's all that matters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You don't have to work?
Well, if the Browns are gone, if the Browns are in Houston, I won't have to work the stadium.
Nice.
So, yeah, they've been on Christmas Eve like the past 2 or 3 years or whatever. At home, they've played at home around Christmas Eve for the past couple of years. So
really?
Yeah.
What do you do at the stadium?
I'm the coach to player cutoff.
Okay.
Operator. So the offense and defensive coach has a audio communicator that they can talk to the quarterback or the linebacker or the captain of the defense. And every play, at 15 seconds of the play clock, I press a button that cuts off all communications between the coach and player.
Why do we need other guests for shit? We got this dude who does all this.
It's good to know low people in high places. We're all brush grads. I can say that.
Is that I was gonna say, is that like a backhanded compliment there?
Think of who our principal was.
Oh, this is uncensored.
Don't bring Walt into this when we're already making jokes about massages and Christmas in Houston.
All I know is I was all about our vice principal. He actually, I think I was one of the only people that he actually liked.
Dave?
Yeah.
I don't think he knew who anybody was.
Yeah, I don't know.
So let's segue from our youth.
That's a long segue.
I'm on TikTok the other day and somebody goes, "Hey, Gen X kids, Kurt Loder, 78. Have a nice day."
Whoa.
Martha Quinn turned 65 today. Yeah, Jim. Martha fucking Quinn. And oh, by the way, baby Jessica.
Wait, time out. Let's not just blow through. You said Kurt Loder is 78?
78.
No.
Yeah. And here's another one.
Mr. MTV?
Yes. There's a People magazine coming out where there is a fair-skinned, fair-haired girl in glasses. Ollie's here. Who is around a bar with her family. It's the baby they pulled out of the fucking well.
Oh,
it's baby Jessica.
Baby Jessica.
She's in her 30s.
Wow.
Let's also dive back for a second here off topic. This is the 10-year anniversary, not so much this month, but of the Castro kidnappings. Amanda Berry, Gina DeHaze.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's 10 years already.
Wow.
Here's one, that Jets-Bills game's on the 22nd anniversary, 9/11.
Whoa.
And crazier.
And they're bringing the Bronco back.
Yeah. And crazier than that, it's been 7 years since Bartolo Colon hit his home run.
Yeah, and 700 pounds ago.
He could still pitch. God knows the fucking Mets need him. Anyway.
Somewhere, Julio Franco is readjusting his batting gloves right now.
He's in the Mexican League with Tolbert and Jake Taylor.
Taylor.
So Steph says to me tonight, she goes, "You got to keep it to an hour or so, or old Mother Hubbard's going to text you." I'm like, and my first thought, if she said that, was only Vaughn's in the cupboard.
Oh my god! I should break out my Dorn jersey for one of these episodes.
You have to now. It's a must.
Sorry, as good as those are, it doesn't beat that.
He's got the Polk High Al Bundy jersey.
I know, that's
he
awesome.
wears. That's phenomenal.
That is awesome.
So
I was almost going to go Bundy and Shane.
He has a Shane Falco jersey too.
That's awesome.
Oh, and by the way, just so you two can know that the two quarterbacks Keanu Reeves has played have both gone to Ohio State.
Johnny,
He's cutting me off. He's cutting me off. What?
Funny thing is right before I came on tonight, Point Break was on.
That's hilarious. The new one or the old one?
The old one.
Wow.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Oh, good. Because the new one's terrible.
Wow.
You can't get these punks now to play Swayze.
You can't get Swayze to play Swayze right now.
Well, I know shit.
Too soon?
And that's been almost 10 years too.
I know.
Leave Dalton alone.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
I was waiting for
I
that.
said that at a wrestling match with Johnny Gargano once, and it's on video.
Oh,
It broke down into the glory of independent wrestling. Johnny is with his wife, Candice LeRae. EC3 came back for a night because it was Johnny's going away, and it turned into a dance-off. And here's me yelling, nobody puts Candice in a corner in front of a gym of 600 people. And I was somehow, someway, the only thing that anybody heard.
James, when you go there, I mean, it's going to be heard.
They were doing the dirty dancing move. They were trying to see if they could do
Stop
it. EC3 can easily do it. Johnny's wife is almost as big as Johnny.
Oh, my God.
Well, Johnny's a midget. I'm taller than Johnny.
Johnny is
I
short.
had the time of my life.
I don't have the range to do the top part anymore, John. Knock it off.
I could have been at Psycho Stick watching them cover Danger Zone tonight.
Dude. You still got to start watching Letterkenny.
Yeah. All of my shows have this week and next week, and then it's going to be time to catch up on movies and other shows. So I'm gonna get into Letterkenny.
So speaking of catching up on stuff, as Oliver makes his contractual appearance on the Wise Guys, let's and hilarity. Let's talk about the NBA playoffs. And are we getting to a Game 7 in the Western Conference between the Golden Shower? I mean the Warriors and the Lakers.
I
Are
don't.
you not even paying attention, John?
I don't care.
Did I say, John? I don't think I said.
seriously. This is how much NBA I've watched this year. Zero. The NBA does not interest me anymore at all. It's such a garbage league. This is a league that they claim they play defense, but yet they score in the 70s and 80s. Come on, man. It's not because of defense. It's because the talent is terrible now. You have a handful of guys that run the league, and everybody else is mediocre at best.
We're getting Game 7 between Boston and Philly.
Which I think everybody saw coming.
Yeah. We've got Denver looking to close out Phoenix tonight.
Thank God. Fucking Durant.
And neither, regardless if they go Game 7, they're not getting past Denver anyway.
No, I don't think they will.
Because Denver's peaking.
And
especially when Jokic is throwing elbows at owners.
That was hilarious.
I blogged about it the other day.
I haven't read it yet. That's hilarious.
I hear the snippets, driving in and out of work and everything, and I catch the snippets and stuff on sports shows and talk shows and whatnot. So I mean, I didn't Giannis get MVP?
No, Embiid did.
Oh, Embiid. You mean he wasn't injured this year? Shocking. He probably got the MVP for just because he wasn't injured. Oh, he actually made it through a season. Let's give him the MVP.
Jesus Christ, dude, you fit in with us so well right now. It's not even funny.
So, but still, the fact that Jokic didn't get it is a travesty to the NBA. That goes to show right there exactly what the NBA is about. They don't care about talent. Here you have somebody who's dominating the game the way LeBron did when he was in his prime. He's not as flashy as LeBron. He's not as crybaby as LeBron, but he is dominating every single night when he goes out there. Like and teams are afraid of him for good reason.
Agreed.
He's a true definition of what an MVP is. You take him off of his team is not as successful as they are with him. Plain and simple. That is the definition of what a most valuable player is.
They're
Agreed.
How good is the
30-win team instead of a 54-win team?
Exactly. It's like that is how they should look at MVPs. If you remove this player from the equation, how good is that team? And that is the difference, and that's what makes an MVP.
I find it hilariously horrible that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is on the NBA first team and Donovan Mitchell wasn't.
And they were ranking him as like the top 5 or 6 player in the league.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I look forward to the Cavs season next year. Speaking of basketball, Jim, congratulations. You were correct. Bronny has committed to USC.
Told you.
And then, of course, there's that thing I sent you that they think that because of that, that's how Bronny and LeBron get back to Cleveland to play 1 year together. I'm like, what the fuck? Come on, man.
Well, they will. Because let's call it what it is. LeBron loves the accolades.
Well, yeah.
He is the self-proclaimed king. And he is going to ride this out so he can be the first ever player to play with his son on a team.
He's wanted to do that since that kid was born because his favorite athlete growing up was Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah. And he wants to be the first ever NBA player to play with his son. And he'll ride out his contracts 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. And then wherever Bronny gets drafted,
that's where he'll play.
That's where he'll sign.
And Jim, you brought up the only hockey thing I'm going to touch on tonight is you brought up the frozen envelope thing, which of course was made famous by the NBA when Patrick Ewing was drafted by the Knicks. And then we'll do our not so happy NBA thing, which if you're in John's purview, LeBron coming back to Cleveland is a not so happy NBA thing.
Like I said, I honestly, I truly do not care. Like, and I'm not saying that like to be malicious or to hate on the NBA. I just don't care. Like I don't have a say positive or negative about it. I don't care. He didn't. I mean, yeah, he brought Cleveland a championship. It's like, okay, the Florida Marlins bought themselves a championship too. That championship means nothing when you go out and buy it.
Agreed. Could you see a frozen envelope scenario that gets Bronny to Cleveland that brings LeBron back for one more last hurrah here?
No, because the Cavs won't be in the lottery at that point.
I don't think so either.
Even if what we talked about on our last episode, if Mitchell leaves after this contract and goes to New York, the Cavs are still talented enough to where they'll be in the playoff and they won't actually have that lottery pick.
And speaking of the frozen stuff, apparently Ryan Reynolds' Senator's bid is not going forward.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you brought that up, and I'm going to be blogging about that tomorrow. That means John
Snoop Dogg is probably going to own a hockey team. How about that shit?
Right now, it's actually come down to either Snoop's group with him as consortium because their bid is looking at $1 billion, or there's another one led by there's somebody else in Snoop's group. It's The Rock. And then right now it's him, the two front runners with Reynolds pulling out, because the thing with Reynolds group is they asked for an extended delay, I think ESPN was saying, because they wanted to come in at close to $1 billion themselves, and the the NHL wouldn't grant it to be able to put the money through. So now the other lead source are two Toronto businessmen and the Weekend looking to bid about $950. The Senators are the 24th cheapest team in the NHL, coming in at only $800 million. And they're also going to be the first team in franchise in league history to sell for over $1 billion. So somebody's going to overpay for them, because right now the ownership group has basically been sitting in a trust since previous owner Eugene Melnick died March of last year.
Is this and I'll use the Mets recent purchase as example. When Steve Cohen bought the Mets, he bought the ballpark too. Are they buying the arena as well, or is that going to stay with the municipality?
I think it's with the municipality. It's because the Canadian Tire Center, I think, is really bought and paid for, and everything with that kind of ties into the Canada, Ontario area. So I don't think he's getting naming rights with that. I think it's really just the franchise. Although if Reynolds wants to pull out with this, there's another NHL team that he could buy for half the price and move and put into a decent market, and that's the $450 million bankrupt Arizona Coyotes.
Bettman will never let him move that team because he's a son of a bitch and he doesn't want to admit he fucked up.
For the right price, they will. It's because the Houston, Kansas City, 6 or 7 other major markets that would pony up a lot more money and be a lot more bankrollable.
Get rid of the Coyotes, just make the Monsters an NHL team.
Fuck that shit.
I'm just playing.
For covering a team that played in that arena the first 5 years since hockey came back, that is the worst ice surface in America.
Can we work on making Columbus an NHL team?
That's fucked up, John.
It's absolutely true.
I didn't say it wasn't true. I just said it was fucked up. So we touched on the NBA and the lottery, and unfortunately now we got to get into a little bit of a sad moment, and that is the recent passing of the good luck charm of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the lottery, and that is majority owner Dan Gilbert's son, Nick, passed away at the age of 26. I tell you what, man, he brought Kyrie, he brought Tristan Thompson.
What's not to like?
Listen.
He coined that phrase when they asked him, and he goes, "What's not to like?" That's so awesome. He was so innocent. That was so awesome.
I can't believe he was 26, but
Wow,
that
man.
genetic condition he had, unfortunately, took him from us, and it made me pause a minute, just because Dan Gilbert's not been well since he had the stroke the year after the LeBron Part 2. The Cavs have taken some body blows between Dan Gilbert getting sick like that, losing Fred McLeod, now Nick. I was shocked when I read it the other day. I was because I had forgotten that was an ongoing thing. I thought that was, when they talked about it, it was something that he had taken care of, but that was rough.
Because you never want to bury your own kid.
No, you don't.
Nope.
And it's not even something. My heart goes out to Dan Gilbert and his family. That's rough. So we're coming up on an hour, Jim, and I know we've said we've tried to keep it to an hour. We have failed miserably in our first 3 attempts. We are going to fail miserably this evening because, John, we teased a little something earlier with you before we came on the air, and that is the first ever Wise Guys on location live episode. If all goes well, on October 28th, Mr. Crinity and I will be in Jacksonville, Florida at the world's biggest cocktail party. The tailgate before the Florida-Georgia football game in Jacksonville. I've said we can wear blue and orange, and we would fight our way through it if we had to. But I'm an hour north of Jacksonville. So Steph and I had told Alex, and same thing for you, doors open. Give us a call. Give us enough time. If you don't mind sleeping on a pullout with cats jumping on you and a baby upstairs, you're good. When we picked Brunswick, I had said that to Jim. I'm like, yo, we got to do on location at the cocktail party. And he's like, oh, we should do that. There may be a third member of that. I'm trying to get Creedies to come down too.
Oh, wow.
Because we figure Nick, Jim, myself, a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue will probably be everybody's favorite. Just for having the Johnny Walker Blue. My direct supervisor has been to that, and she is like, it is the greatest party you will ever go to.
Wow.
That's how we said we're not going to the game. We're only going to the tailgate.
No, we're just going to the tailgate.
Wow.
Because it's, no. Because I am not going in that stadium. First of all, that ticket is insanity.
I can imagine.
But yeah, we'll have to leave Brunswick at like 4:30 in the morning just to get there. It makes the Muni lot look like Romper Room.
Well, I don't know.
We're also going to have to plan out like rest stops constantly from all the friggin' food we're going to be eating.
I'm buying a grill.
There you go.
Get a mini grill and as many propane tanks as we can carry.
Oh, that's safe.
Well,
yeah. I was thinking, what the fuck is he going to blow up?
Most likely a porta potty.
Hi, I'm Big Regan, and welcome to Jackass.
Oh my God. You're doing
That's an off the rail segment, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so let's get to our final segment. Disclaimer. Let's get to our final segment of the night, gentlemen. It is the one that was invented during the Wise Guys Live draft reaction. I had mentioned we were yelling about the fact that Will Levis wasn't drafted by the Washington Commanders, John, excuse me. And I said, wait, but they have Jacoby Brissett. And Jim says, and I quote, I'll put that in a Wisey translator. Sanika Wallace.
Sanika. Wow.
So last week. Oh, no. And then I said, let's put Will Levis into the Wisey translator. And I came up with Ryan Leaf.
Whoa.
And Jim says, well, he hasn't beaten a cameraman up yet. And I went, the key word there, kids, is yet.
Yet. Operative word.
Yeah. So last week, we had a Wisey translator segment, which I think the best one was he gave me Marjorie Taylor Greene and I said crack whore.
Wow.
So I think we should throw a couple at Mr. Rice here and see what he comes up with off the top of his head. This is not planned. Then again,
wow.
None of this shit's planned.
All right.
I say we throw one at Mr. Rice first, James, and see what he comes up with.
So basically it's word association?
Yeah. Like the skit from Saturday Night Live with Richard Pryor and Chevy Chase years ago.
Oh, boy.
Michael?
Do I have to? Okay.
Wow. Oh, boy.
John, your name is Joel Embiid.
Walking insurance policy?
Oh my God. Do you love the sound effects for what the thought process
Dial up. Looking for the rotary phone.
I
That was awesome. I love that.
Oh.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Oh my God.
There's a little
James?
button down here that says need help. Yes, I do, please.
Yeah, the problem is the kind of help we need, they can't provide.
Not restream anyway. You can get that help online though. All right, Jim, what do you got for me here, sir?
Michael, your word, Brett Favre.
Shout out to Hazard County, Boss Hog.
I was almost thinking Cooter.
Wow.
Don't hurt Cooter or Roscoe.
Roscoe's whole train.
Dude. I have played that theme song more times in the last 3 months just to do it. Oh, God. Oh, my God. All right. So we got to give one to Mr. James here, John. Would you like to try and throw one out to stump JC Blue Note?
Let's see. What can I do here? Ooh. Let's do Kyrie Irving.
Douche canoe, douche canoe, douche canoe.
I mean, honestly, how did he get into Duke? Crossover.
Yeah. He dribble ball.
First thing that popped in my head when you said that, John, was the old Planet Fitness commercial. I pick things up and put them down. So I saw something.
First off, though, okay, he got into Duke. Did he attend any classes? Because he didn't attend any basketball games.
No.
He did 10 of them.
At least Katzenmoyer went to underwater basket weaving.
And still failed.
Well, yeah.
Didn't Craig Krenzel major in golf or something?
No,
No,
Krenzel
I
was a
thought Krenzel was like a
communications major.
genius.
Yeah, he was like No, he was biochemistry.
Which one? Yeah, someone was like a chemical engineer or something like that. Was it Krenzel or was it somebody? It was,
One
like,
of
it
those
was Ohio
Krenzel.
State quarterback. I know that.
One of those quarterbacks majored in golf or something.
No, I thought that was Katzenmoyer. I thought
That was Stanley Jackson.
I thought one of them had a golf class that they failed.
Was
It
it
wasn't Robert
Bellisario?
It might have been. And Robert Smith, of course, was pre-med.
Technically, all undergrad is pre-med.
I think he actually applied to med school and then just decided to go play in the NFL.
Oh,
So
much better choice.
the last thing I want to bring up to you guys before we get John to tell us all about his streaming that he does, and we call it a night since my alarm's going to go off early and I have to be in my office at 7 a.m. Shut up, Jim. I was on TikTok today in my one rare moment of time, and I saw a thing that said Astros fans go to Disney World, and they're out in front of the guys playing the steel trash can drums in Astros jerseys, and a dude yells fastball.
Oh my gosh. Oh my fastball. Oh my gosh. That's fantastic.
So John, what's coming up on the Sporting Sith?
I am pretty much just rocking and rolling with Fortnite live streaming. I'll be on Twitch tomorrow night, streaming live Fortnite live with I'm doing something different. I'm going to try to do something where I have I'm calling it my Fortnite Friday live roast party, where I'm going to allow people to come into my stream, watch my stream, and basically roast my performance. So we'll see if that catches anything, and we'll see if that gets the ball rolling. 10 o'clock. Tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. I'll be on Twitch streaming
Hey, Jim.
under the Sporting Sith.
Jim, what are you doing tomorrow night at 10?
You know, after I shut the hockey off, I'm pretty much watching Twitch most nights.
So
Jim,
I will
Jim.
be there.
What are we doing tomorrow night at 10 o'clock?
Well, you're going to be sleeping.
Most likely.
My new favorite channel is she's like 18, 19, and she uses a voice disguiser and goes in there and tries to hit on guys.
Oh my
Playing
goodness.
Fortnite. She
goodness.
disguises herself as a guy and then like turns the voice translator off to realize that they're playing with a girl and they actually are like too embarrassed to like hit on her.
That's funny.
Like, but I asked Jim that question. I said, is it the girl that said to the guy one time playing live, it was either Call of Duty or Fortnite? She goes, shut up before I marry your dad and give him a son he's proud of.
Wow.
That was Sweet Tales.
Wow.
So, oh, by the way, John, you're on Twitch right now.
Well, there you go. Hopefully the viewers here will join me tomorrow night and be able to join the roast party.
I'm drinking coffee when I get home now.
There you go.
Oh no, Steph's got.
I mean,
wine.
it's already 10:25, so I mean, you can at least last a half an hour.
I can try.
There you go. And it's Friday.
Dude, my mental alarm clock goes off at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, no matter what time I go to bed.
Mine too.
So, James, I understand. I have to read the draft blog that you did. What else is coming for the Sports Note, since I know you're off until Monday?
Yeah, tomorrow's my last official day of vacation. We're going to talk a little bit more, certainly not tonight, but definitely tomorrow, worst case Saturday, about the Ottawa Senators purchase information with Ryan Reynolds' group bowing out. We'll break that down a little bit to see what the really how feasible the idea of Snoop's group or the Weekend's group, or does Reynolds re-enter the picture, because they still have until Monday to officially put in bids and go forward. So we got that coming up. This show will actually get posted to the site probably first thing tomorrow morning, and see if maybe I get a second one in, but it's just going to be sitting back playing a whole lot of DC Universe Online this weekend.
Very nice. So there's next week, of course, we'll have another special guest. We'll get into that when we announce the show for next Saturday. It's going to be next Saturday. Steph has found a mom's group that she's a part of down here, and they have a mom's only outing on the 18th. So we're going to push the Wise Guys back to the 20th. And then the following Saturday night, it will be our next long form Wise Guys episode, as the Wise Guys, as Big Rican presents the birthday roast of JC Blue Note. My friend John will be there, the Sporting Sith. We will have it will be a JC Blue Note happy episode, because you've been on the birthday episode for me the last 2 years.
Not a Deshaun Watson happy ending episode,
bro.
I will accept liquor and strippers.
Let me FedEx them to you, stupid.
Alex, I'll take liquor and strippers for $500, please.
The Tom Hanks Black Jeopardy
married with kids. And by the way, what deal did your wife make with whatever demon to basically look like she's 25?
Well,
seriously, I saw that on my Facebook timeline the other day. It's like, that's not his wife. That's his oldest daughter.
I will say she is younger than I am, but she's not 25. But I'm not.
Don't say it; she'll kill you.
I'm not going to announce her age publicly.
Oh, I'm not that stupid, but it's
But yeah, I'm lucky. I'm a lucky man.
You very much are, John, and I'm actually not saying that to slight her at all. It's like I said the same thing when I watched Top Gun Maverick, because Tom Cruise and Jennifer, have not aged in 30 years. Apparently, your wife was drinking from the same fountain.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I hope that
it's continues. The Rob Lowe recipe for breakfast is basically what it is. So Saturday night, the 27th, will be Jim's birthday episode, and it will be a roast of sorts because there are people that are going to be on there, like John and I, who've known Jim for pushing 30 years. Which is, I know, dude, that's fucking sad.
Wow.
But
And
we're
I'm
also,
only 32.
I know.
Let me put it to you this way before you finish up. I've got the Burt Kreischer movie opening the night before. I'm going to have that roast, and then I got the Indy 500 the very next morning, along with the AEW pay-per-view. So,
John, did you see who's playing
Wow.
Burt Kreischer's dad in that movie?
No, I saw a quick trailer, but I didn't
Mark
see much.
Hamill.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fantastic.
So yeah, that'll be a long form episode. It will start at 9:00 here on the Wise Guys channel. The one difference will be is that my finger will be on the button for that night, as I will be bringing in the video tributes that we are having come in, and I will be doing my best Seth MacFarlane roastmaster impersonation.
then I'm safe, because as long as he doesn't go Jeff Ross, I'm okay.
I would never go Jeff Ross on you. I promise you that. That's mean and hurtful, even though Jeff Ross and I now have the same haircut.
I may go Lisa Lapinelli on you, but that's about it.
Wow. No.
She's tame anymore.
Somebody's I think being the Hispanic in the room, I have to go Greg Giraldo on him.
Okay.
You know who I would love to see, and Mike, I think you know who I'm going to say would actually be on one of those roasts next.
Taylor Tomlinson.
Oh, she's so hot. She's funny and hot. I'm like, wow.
I don't know what it is about the young Schumer to me was that way. And who's the tall one that tried to sleep with Blake Griffin and he shot her down? Was that Nikki Glaser?
Glazer.
Yeah.
You're like a black guy. You're a black guy who look like a printer running out of ink. I'd fuck you in front of my grandparents. I almost want to.
No, the best line ever in a Comedy Central roast was delivered by Mike Tyson at the Charlie Sheen roast. He said, first of all, he was geeked out on coke, and you could tell. He says, when I was incarcerated, I read the Iliad. So you see, Seth, you're not the only one who gets his ideas from Homer.
Wow. I might have to hire Taylor Tomlinson for this roast.
Oh, I ain't got that kind of dough. Well, gentlemen, I would like to thank you, John, and I know Jim would, for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
The meat and potatoes of the episode, obviously, with being the playoff, as someone who may get a phone call to referee one of these playoff games.
Dude, from your mouth up.
I only hope I can. Thank you again. I will see you in 2 weeks, my friend.
All right.
As we celebrate the birthday of our compatriot there on the bottom, James. We'll put out later this week who's going to be on the episode on Saturday. And thank you for throwing this together at the last minute, since you forgot we were doing this evening.
The whole week's been a blur.
That's what happens when you're on vacation, bro.
I wanted 5 days off of peace and quiet, and tomorrow's going to be about the only day of that entire time I actually have.
Well, now I'm going to have to bug the shit out of you just out of principle.
I mean, you're allowed, but you can roast me all you want. Anybody reaches out to me the morning after, you know the rules.
I do know the rules. I won't reach out to you the morning after because I'll be recovering myself.
Right.
Oh, John, bring booze for that.
Cheese grater across the mouth.
Exactly. For the Sporting Sith and JC Blue Note, this is Big Reekin saying, have a wonderful night and join us in 2 weeks when we tear this man a new one. Bye.